And another thing that I wanted to talk to you about was I know that you had mentioned on one of your like more candid videos of how you were planning on making more music your own.
Mm.
And so how are you planning on taking this guitar teacher world to translating it to maybe your own band or your own music? What How are you feeling about all that?
Yeah. That's really the big question that I don't have an answer to, but it's kind of the question of my life. So I'll answer this in a very backwards way. Um, for the first 10, at least, probably 15 years of my life, uh, guitar was a completely impersonal, private thing for me. I didn't share it with anybody, like outside of like my closest friends and like my family in my house. No one knew that I played. It was a personal thing, and it wasn't until I was in school in college for business that eventually I was just like, listen, like I know that I can be this great player. I have it in me. Like I will die with the song still within me if I don't bail and go now. And I left and went to music school, and like that was really like, and I was thrown into the deep end, and that was really like the first time I had ever taken a bet on myself and decided to share it with the world. Um, and then why that's important is that it has been the struggle of my life. It might seem odd because this is what I do now, but it has been the struggle of my life to actually like believe in myself and go all in on me and make something that I feel like only I can make and share it with the world. And so I have been trying to get there since I was 5 years old. And
Yeah.
I feel like going to music school was like the main first step. And then when I graduated and started gigging and all that, that was like a main second step. And I was just doing like covers. I wasn't making anything. And then when I started teaching online and had to start making courses and everything, I mean, that was so hard for me. I mean, still every day I sit there and look at that freaking button before I hit upload, and like I just fucking don't want to do it. And but you get older, you force yourself to do it, and it happens. And so like now I'm at a point where I'm finally getting to a comfort level where I actually feel like maybe I'll have the confidence to make a record or actually start sharing all this stuff and not just teach it or translate it or
Yeah.
or, or reproduce something that someone else has done. Anyway, the point I'm trying to make is the answer to your question has been the struggle of my entire life.
What's the so I relate to this. People are already saying in the chat, like, sounds like Bert. Like I relate to that more than you can possibly. Well, obviously you can imagine it.
Yeah.
But my question is, what's the biggest lie that you believe about yourself that keeps you from
Mm.
doing that?
Oh,
What's
that
that thing that keeps you from doing it?
wow. I love the question. The biggest lie that you believe about yourself. Um, that I can't. That I mean, it has to be that 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 I can't break the old habits the old chains that I shackled myself with as a child. That has to be it. Like so much of your depression and anxiety and lack of self-esteem and everything, when you're someone who feels deeply that the burn, that the need to create, like you need oxygen, um, it stems from watching yourself not do it over and over and over again and choosing to not do the work, to not bet on yourself, to just make it tomorrow or whatever it is, and find all these different reasons and all these different justifications to not actually do what you know you should be doing. Um, and so the biggest lie that I think that the thing that I tell myself, or we all do, is that you'll you'll never be man enough to break it.
Hmm. My my
I would like to hear yours.
yeah, I was about to tell you mine. So I feel like with me, so I've written a lot of songs. I've put out records. I've never had problems with putting out music. But my biggest thing that I think I believe about myself is that like that I'm a nobody and that nobody's ever going to care.
Mm,
And what that tends to do to me is that I don't put in the work.
mhm.
So I'll put out music, but I'll just kind of work a little bit and I'll put some lyrics on it and then I'll get some friends to play some music on it. And I think that I'm learning about myself that I come off as somebody who puts music out, but I'm not really putting the work in
Mhm,
as if I believed that the music was good enough.
mhm.
And so I half-ass everything. Not YouTube. Like I've gone all in on YouTube and I work my ass off on YouTube. That's one thing that it's weird because I've been a songwriter my whole life. And now this new thing, I'm more confident in this new thing than I ever have been as a songwriter.
Yeah.
But for me, it's like with this new music that I'm making, I want to put the work in as if I believed it was as good as a Tyler Childers song,
Mhm.
even though it may not be. But I just I cop out so much with my songs, and I just end up, whether it be lyrically or musically or production wise, I tend to not give it my all because
Yeah.
at the end of the day, I don't believe in myself enough.
Yeah. I know exactly that. For anybody else that's listening, and I see a lot in the comments too that appreciate this deep conversation, and I'm glad we're on it. Um, I would encourage you or anybody to read The War of Art if you hadn't.
Yeah,
You know that book?
yeah,
That's the book. We all Pressfield calls it the resistance. Like we all give it different names. Whether it's self doubt or self esteem or you know fear of success. Like maybe you are as good as or you could be as good as you think you are. That's the scariest one. You know what I
yeah,
mean? Because that's the one that really beats you up later. Because if you actually are more afraid of success than failure, then it's really really hard to look in the mirror. You know.
yep,
Um, and yeah. Anyway, that book helped me a great deal. But man, we're all dealing with it, man. It's just part of the game. Chuck, how about you, man?
The biggest lie I believe about myself is that my penis is small. I'm out.
I'm a giver.